Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Here we are. Okay. Let's get some stuff ready, shall we? I was just getting just getting a thumbnail ready in Unity so you can actually see the thumbnail. Just here. Oh, 8:14 a.m. Brisbane, Australia. How's everybody else? What time is it? I'm sure there's a bunch of 3 a.m.ers watching. Alright. Cool. I think we're all good to go. Let's get... Oh, wait, I gotta set up the chat. 1 second. Pop out chat. There we go. Bam. Got chat. Hello, hello. Hello, Radix. Hello, Alan. Hello, Coda Studio. Hello, probably not Giga Chat. Hello, Haley. How are we all this fine morning? So, today, the Island Boys, 6:14, midnight in South Africa. Yeah, right. Very different. We're working on enchantments. You actually notice by my screen here. Oh wait, I've got some trees on fire. So look at that beautiful sky. We were working a bit on enchantments last stream, and this stream I'm going to work a bit further on it. So I'm gonna work a bit on like the visuals, like the particle effects and stuff like that. So we're working on this fire a little bit, sort of updating the whole fire system, and the fire's starting to look a lot nicer, a lot more like fire. I can actually show you what it looks like. But yeah, the fire's starting to look really good. So I'm gonna work on fire, gonna work on the lightning, gonna work on like some balancing and overall like tweaking and stuff. We're trying to make so basically some of these different enchantments look all sexy and look real nice, and doing like a little bit of balancing and stuff with them. So it might be like a little bit more of like a artsy slash testing visual, sort of stream. Not really much programming or anything like that. Hopefully it should be like a fun one, because so much of it will be like visual and like cool and like sort of like easy to interpret. I'll quickly show you though where we're currently sitting at. I'll plop down an enchanting table. I set up some more stuff yesterday and the day before, so I can show you a bit more about enchanting, how it works. So I added enchantment tables properly into the game. I actually pushed up if there's any alpha access people watching from the Patreon, I actually pushed up a secret build last night that you'll have access to, because we had a pretty bad bug that I just need to fix last minute. So I fixed that, but I'm going to do another build this afternoon, which will add in some extra stuff, and then I'll do a proper patch notes, because we actually changed a good amount of things in the previous little like alpha build that we did. But yeah, I'll do proper patch notes when we do the second patch. Let me show you how this works. Right now, bam, I got a fire sword. So I got a sword that just has the burning ignite enchantment on it. So you can see like sort of what we're working on today. It's like making this look like doing all the visual effects and stuff for it. So you can see that the sword has like a sort of Fresnel like sort of effect on it. So weapons in Lens Island sort of glow when they're enchanted. Different enchantments make them glow different colors. And then you can see the icon. Oh, actually, you can't see the icon. Let's move me here for a second. The icon here. It's like this glowing sort of icon to resemble that it's enchanted, and you can also see down the bottom there, ignites targets, dealing damage over time and spreading to nearby enemies. So right now, okay, let's see like that should see right now I'm getting that on my end. That's instantly fixed it. Hopefully it stays that way. Give me 1 second just to make sure that it's definitely gonna keep with these settings. All right. It looks like we're good. It looks like lag's gone. We're out here. Will there be secret enchantments? So there will be some enchantments. The way that's going to work with the enchantments, right, is lag's gone. Perfect. These purple enchantments, they're the ones that are going to be basically at an enchantment table when you first create an enchantment table, sort of for free. And then all the other enchantments you'll have to sort of acquire sort of across the game. So if I quickly zoom across the world here, I might spend a bit of time on this today. But for example, the humble druid's house, he is going to sell some runes out the front of his house. These aren't currently working yet. So if any alpha testers are wondering, being like, oh shit, no, you can't, you can't click them yet. But you may notice these are the exact same shape as, they're not showing it, but there's a type of enchantment stone that looks the same size as that. So some enchantments you'll get at an enchantment table, and then some enchantments you'll get like purchasing them from the druid, and some you get by purchasing from the sorcerer. And there's different sort of like sets of enchantments. So we're basically broken up enchantments into Lens Island into, there are, actually this music's distracting me now. There's basically electricity based enchantments. So there's different, I guess, like elements. There's electricity based enchantments. There's fire based enchantments. And then there's sort of like utility enchantments. They're these purple ones that were on that list when I drag in a sword. These ones. And that's stuff like weighted and swiftness. It's just sort of change stats of a weapon but don't give it like a, airbender effect. We're thinking about adding one more. Sort of category. Not 100% sure though. I think I might quickly just make a bed so I can sleep, just so we can get it to be a little bit better lighting for us. Let's put a little shack over here. Get a bed down. Sleep. Okay, we can get the music back on now. You like to close? Yeah, the close actually, that's the new close system. These are just like work temporary close, but yeah, there's all new close system. But yeah, so let me build a utility box. So I might get, let's get a claymore. One of these. I want to work today on, the ignite. We also want to work on electric. I fixed up some of the UI for this enchantment table. It's a little bit better now. So let's put the ignite back on the sword and just update that. Bam. So you can see like that one's blue, one's orange, like they have their own sort of colors. Another really cool thing, by the way, I'll quickly show you. This is like totally just like me being like a perfectionist, but you can see the sword's like orange now, right? And then if I quickly equip it, you can see it's lit up orange. If I then put a different enchantment, like let's say an electric enchantment, so it's got two enchantments on it. The electric enchantment is blue, so then it combines blue and orange together, and it combines the colors together, and it makes this sort of like purpley orangey sort of color. That's like not as intense as the orange before, but it actually like merges the colors of your enchantments together, depending on like what sort of like class of enchantments they are. This is like a tiny little like detail, but I still need to like sort of properly edit all the colors and like the effect of the weapon and everything. But yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was cool. You can like like in Team Fortress 2, when I used to play that back in the day, there's like unusual hats, and the unusual hats have like effects. And what people love to do is I'd get an unusual hat that has like some sort of color, like it's like purple energy, and then they could get like a second hat that's like a beard or some sort of other like miscellaneous item that's like green energy, and then I combine the two energies together and then like make this cool, unique color by combining the two colors together. And that's sort of where I got the idea from, is like you can actually you can sort of customize the color and look of your weapon by combining different enchantments together and sort of creating new colors. And yes, you can. In this update though, you won't be able to enchant a weapon with 2 enchantments. I'll make that clear now. The 2 enchantment slots, you will gain access to the 2nd enchantment slot after the titanium tier. But this update is limited to the titanium tier. So I'm basically just teasing you for the fun of it right now. Like we may. No, we can't. It's going to be limited to titanium tier. I'm sorry. But yeah, it probably will max out at 2. 2 will be the max enchantments. But even at this sort of version of the game, that for this update, it's coming out soon. You will be able to have more than 1 enchantment active at a time, because what you could do, if I was to sort of quickly sort of show you, right, you can equip a shield, right? So you can see, I can drag a shield into an enchantment table. There's currently no enchantment set up for it, but what I could do is I could have a shield and a sword equipped, and I could have both of them enchanted, both those enchantments active. You can also enchant your armor. So then, like, theoretically, at any given time, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 enchantments all active at one time in this next update. They're spread across obviously different items. So it's like enchantments you get for like a helmet won't be the same enchantments you get for a sword. But you can have 6 enchantments regardless. And then in the Act 4 update for Lens Island, a future update where we basically enter the whole new zone and the whole new set of biomes in the game, that's where we'll add in the next set of item tiers above titanium, which will be Damascus Steel, by the way. And the Damascus Steel tier will allow for two enchantment slots on weapons. So you'll be able to actually double that. You'll be able to have a total of 12 enchantments, I guess, on any given sort of weapon. It might be a bit less than that, but it'll be something around that. On any given weapon, like on like fully geared land. And yeah, all the enchantment effects stack. They don't multiply, but they're like additive. So it's like if I have, let's say, I'll just do some quick math. So one thing that you can do is like I'll actually just quickly show you. Look at all this cool armor, by the way. Damn. Which one is it? This set. Ignore like the buggy UI and stuff. But the leather set of armor, if I equip it all, where's the braces or these ones? They give crit bonus. So you can see the helmet, 10% increase to crit damage, 5% on the chest, 5% on the braces, 5% on the legs. So that's 20% all up crit increase. Then there are going to be enchantments to increase your crit chance on your sword. So you can imagine that's plus 10, and then this is plus 5, and this is plus 5, and this is plus 5, and these are all percentages. And let's say my sword down here, maybe I've got an enchantment that multiplies it by, let's say, 25, and then maybe my shield also has one. Maybe that multiplies it, like that adds 25. So let's say this sword, every weapon in the game has like a default crit multiplier. So let's say the sword is like 1.3 times. So like imagine that's a percentage. So it'll be like 130, 130%. So then what your crit will actually end up being is 130 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 25 plus 25. So then you can end up making 140, 150, 155, 170, 180, 205. So I could get my crit multiplier from 1.3 times to over 2 times with all of my enchantments, which could make a big deal. Like if you have a weapon, like for example, let's say I've got a hammer, right? Wrong page. Let's say I've got a titanium hammer. Then like if you look at like this second ability there, it has 70 base damage, or even if you just look at the damage per second being 45, then it's like I would be increasing my output from like 72 to like over 90. It would be like probably almost 100 just like it'll be like 100 damage per just like normal swing, and then if I was to do like a critted ability, then it could be like 150 damage. So that could like add up to like a lot of damage and be a big deal. Yeah, I just went on a little rant there about about all of that. But yeah, and you may also notice there's like this little bar. So that little blue bar at the bottom of the item, that's like the charge. So enchantments drain like a lightstone charge, and then you have to recharge weapons here. You charge them for free though. They don't cost anything, because once you create the enchantment table, you can just always charge them for free. So if I basically just like light a bunch of stuff on fire for a second, all different enchantments have different sort of like rates that they deplete the charge. So there'll be some enchantments like the burning. Now I'm on fire. There'll be some enchantments like the burning that basically you even light a little cat's tails on fire. We'll fix that. Don't worry about that. But see, my charge is starting to go down. It's like half full now. So there'll be some enchantments like burning. They're like higher tier enchantments that will take more of a charge. So you'll have to be very, a bit more sort of strategic on how you use those enchantments down in the dungeon, because you can't recharge when you're down the dungeon. So what you don't want to do is be like halfway through like a dungeon run, and then like the enchantment that you're using to get through the dungeon run just suddenly runs out halfway too. So you have to be like a bit more strategic on how you sort of plan it out. So you could have an enchantment that's maybe a little bit more subtle or like subdued, and it lasts the whole dungeon run. But then you could have an enchantment that's like really insane, but then maybe you only get off like a few hits. And you can see it costs a little bit of lightstone dust to reach up. We're thinking about removing that cost and making it free, or making it like a really, really low cost. We still got to balance that. But yeah, so that's a little overview of enchantments. So what we basically need to do today, we need to work on, I'm going to turn on this music, I can't think straight. We need to work on the fire stuff, make the fire look real pretty. We need to work on electricity, make the electricity look real pretty, and some other stuff too. So I guess we'll go into our testing scene, and start balancing some stuff and setting it up. All right, let's leave here. I'll work on fire first. Like you may have already noticed, like the fire already looks better. I spent a bit of time on it yesterday making it look better, but it still has some stuff to iron out. But yeah, the whole point of this enchantment system and the armor system and everything is that you can make like a lot of like really complex builds. Like what we really want to enable, what we sort of want to enable in Lens Island is like there's sort of like two layers of the game, right? Like the bottom layer is sort of what Lens Island has been up until this point, where you can do all the stuff that you love, like the building and farming and, you know, crafting, all that sort of stuff. But then there's like a second layer where it's like this sort of optional layer of like really in-depth systems that have like a lot of flexibility and like a lot of customization that can make you really, really powerful. And then you can use that to fight really difficult dungeons to get like rare rewards and stuff like that. So that's like the second layer that we're sort of like basically creating with this update. And then the next Act 4 update is where we're going to really start harnessing that second layer. Because the update after this one that we're sort of talking about now, the Act 4 update, when we expand the world, that's going to include wave-based dungeons. There's going to be a whole new type of dungeon added to the game. And then those wave-based dungeons, you can basically have there's like a tiered reward system. So the longer you stay alive, the more waves you get through, the higher rewards you can get. So that's where it's going to be like really, really cool to create these wacky, crazy builds of enchantments and armor and all this sort of stuff, and like put all your hard work to use and become really powerful and try out exciting builds and see how long you can last in these dungeons, and then get like rare bits of armor and rare weapons and stuff like that as rewards for taking down like really high tier dungeon bosses and stuff like that. The updates are like pretty much will have an error, to be honest. So if you can imagine, like if this is the spawn island, this is pretty much when the player is basically in like the wood and iron era. You start at wood and stone, and then you basically upgrade to iron and you get your first set of iron tools. Then when you move on to the second act of the game, where you get towards the the Dark Forest areas. This is where you first start. You need to get hard steel for the first time, hardened steel, and then you make the hardened steel set of tools. And then when you move on to the desert biome, that's when you're starting to get titanium, and you start to upgrade to titanium tier. And then, if you can imagine, if this is Act 1, and this is Act 2, and this is Act 3, the final finished version of Lens Island at release will have 5 acts. That's what's planned. So there's a 4 and a 5th. And the amount of content in the acts sort of goes like this. If this is like a little, like basically imagine, I'll draw like that's the bar, right? Imagine the amount of content in Act 1's like this, and then Act 2 goes like this, and Act 3 goes like this, and then Act 4 and 5 go like this. It's like, that's like the playtime. So it's like, it may sort of seem like we're sort of 2/3 of the way done Lens Island, but really when you look at playtime, if like that's the playtime for that part, and then you look at the playtime here, it's actually only like 1/3 done. Because like as the acts get bigger, the entire world gets like exponentially bigger, and the dungeons become more in depth, and just like everything becomes more in depth, and you like it. Yeah, it's like more playtime and more content and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't even mean to devolve all of that information. But there you go. Streams are just going to be a good place to just like get all the secret information from me that I probably shouldn't be telling people. But that's fine. Okay, so let's go into our testing scene. Start to work on fire a little bit. I just want to get down the effects of the fire and the lightning. I want to make the effects like really, really nice and sweet before I go too much further. Where's our testing scene? Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, I've talked a bit about Act 4. Act 4 is where we have a bunch of new biomes. It's where we have Damascus Steel coming into play. Full release, it's still going to be a while. Current ETA, I would say, is 18 months. So expect around 18 months from now is when Lens Island will have that Act 4 and Act 5 I'm talking about. It'll be like literally 100 hours of playtime. It'll have like 100 hours or longer. It'll be like a very, very content-heavy game, and there will be co-op multiplayer, and there will be full translation and localization support for as many languages as we can possibly get out. Okay, I'm gonna get in a couple trees in here as well so I can test some more stuff. Yeah, pets and cats and stuff would be very awesome. We have actually already started on working on the deer. So for this next update, there will be wild deer that you can hunt and also like capture, I guess, and keep as pets. They won't really be like, they won't like follow you around and be like a literal pet, but like it's the beginnings of that system that we're introducing in the next update. Okay, I'm just gonna like put out some assets here that I can like test my swords and stuff on for the because we had to sort of we had to build a pretty in-depth system for the enchanting. I'll show you. It's not as simple as you may think. So let's get a green tree, right? And then let's get like a dark tree. And then let's go like a birch. And then we've also got... So if you can imagine this like fire system, that's like a side on our assets. We would also have like the player, like Len. So imagine Len is one of the... Wow, this is a weird looking Len. Oh jeez. So we've got Len, we've got bosses. So let's say like we've got like the Void Boar, right? And the Void Boar is like massive. That's apparently the Void Boar. Oh jeez, my art skills aren't very good right now. And they've got other enemies. Maybe enemies like, whatever, that big. I don't know why everyone is so fat. That's fine. So this fire system that we're built has to like look like good, realistic fire on all these different kinds of things, and like some of them are tiny and some of them are gigantic, and it has to all automatically populate and be completely automatic with no like sort of setup. That's quite difficult to do, to make it look perfect for all these different items. So we've had to do like a lot of like smart stuff where we have this system that sort of Max was working on, where we basically get the mesh render of an object and sort of calculate roughly the size of like the bounds, and then based on the size of the object, the particle system that's attached to it, which is like, you know, the thing that's making the fire work, we basically like multiply a lot of the variables by these different ways based on the size of this. So it's like if we draw a box around a reed, a set of reeds, and it's like, you know, very small, you know, maybe the surface area is only like 3 square meters or something like that. Then it's like, oh, okay, so spawn like 2 flames per second, and then like spawn it at like a, you know, make them 0.5 size or whatever. But then if this one is like 50 square meters of surface area, then it's like, you know, multiply it like a difference by, oh cool, spawn 30 flames a second and then make them like 2.5 size. Like we had to back build this whole system that basically like makes everything look good for like particle effects across all the different things in the game. So that's sort of what I'm working on today. We have the system in the back end sort of set up, and then now I need to start tweaking the variables and make sure fire looks good on this and this and this, and it looks realistic and interesting across all these different items. Cool. All right. So let's just enchant a fire sword and just start hitting stuff and see what looks good, see what looks bad. Creating some suggestions for creating independent systems, tutorial reading suggestions. What do you mean, Flip? You might have to give me some more information. Do you mean like, do you want me to suggest how to make independent suggestions? Sorry, like independent systems. Like, do you want like advice? Is that what you mean? Oh, why is my edit cursor stuck on? That's weird. I've got like a little pencil, like my edit cursor. Okay, well that's I've got a null reference, but I think it's just a material thing. Oh no, we actually have all these annoying things keep giving null. Okay, that's probably why. Okay, let's enchant this sword. Oh, I've still got this one. I'm just gonna remove the electricity. All I want is fire. I'll disenchant it. And we'll add the fire. By the way, all these... Oh, whoops. I need some lightstone. All these runes will have all their own, like, icons and everything, by the way. They won't all look the same. They'll have, like, proper descriptions and all that sort of stuff. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea how the fire's gonna look. Well, it's not terrible, but it's using the wrong effect. I need to get a sky dome in here because it doesn't help that the background is all black, so you can't really sort of see. Actually, what if I just do this? Just so I can see what like the smoke and stuff looks like. That definitely needs to be smaller, those flames there. Man, notice when the trees are on fire, they actually like jiggle and stuff a bit too. It looks really cool. What fire effect is this? Yeah, it's actually, I'm surprised how good it sort of scales between the different. Ah, right. When it's over, I wonder if it looks like that. We get like, see how it's like this weird blurring when it renders in front of the sky, but when it renders in front of geometry, it looks fine. I wonder if it does that if the sky dome is in the scene, because they're Let's turn on the atmosphere. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Love a good jiggle. I do love a good jiggle. Okay, I'm gonna light some enemies on fire because there's two different sort of parts to worry about. There's like inanimate objects lighting on fire, and then there's enemies. I think the enemies what I gotta do, like, and the players what I gotta do a bit more work too. Yeah, see. Oh, I don't think it's getting their mesh renderers. It doesn't look like it. Well, maybe it is. It's definitely a bit too bright. You can see that's pretty intense. Oh, I want the enemies to light those other ones on fire. There we go, now they're all on fire. Alright, let's quickly pause the game and see what this looks like. Yeah, but yeah, definitely gonna have to dial back the enemy fire. Jeez, it's a big fireball. Look at that. So what do we got? Let's see what we're working with here. Is this... Ah, it's not getting the skin mesh renderer from the enemies. I thought it wasn't. Okay, I had a feeling that might be happening. I wonder if the actually, I'll quickly, 1 second. I don't think the skin mesh renderers are getting passed through to the particle effect stuff. If I light enemies on fire, all of their particle effects have like no skin mesh renderer. There, yeah. I'll check for the player and other stuff too. Right, we're on it. We're on the case. Let's see if the players because like what we do, right, is like we've got like a particle effect system, and then it basically when something catches on fire, it's like am I like an inanimate object, or am I something that like has a skin mesh renderer that like animates and moves around? And then if it has like a skin mesh renderer, then it uses that as like the volume to spawn the particles from. So then like when Len's moving around, like particles are spawning from like Len's active animated mesh. But yeah, it looks like the skin mesh stuff wasn't quite working. If I just light one of these on fire and then run into it. See, like, it looks like it's working for Len. Like, that's definitely spawning from Len's mesh. I think the fire looks pretty good for the player. Look, it almost looks a bit too realistic. It's like, damn. Len, that's fire. Yeah, there we go. So that's Len's skin. Okay, so it's just enemy. It's just a voidlings. I'll try some other enemies. Maybe it's specific to voidlings. Let's heal up a little bit too. Yeah, we'll try some crabs. We'll try see if they catch on fire, what they look like. Oh yeah, it looks like their mesh renderers are being used, I think. Maybe. Not a hit. Where's the fire? Okay. It might just be the voidlings. So the crabs... The fire looks pretty good. It's maybe a tiny bit too bright. It definitely looks so much better now with like the different layers that I sort of added. Because there's like little sparks, there's a bit of smoke, and then there's the flame itself. Sort of 3 separate layers. And they all just died from that fire. So basically, I'm just going to light all the different enemies. Oh, jeez, 10 dozers. Oh, I made a terrible mistake here. Oh, no. This is going to be so difficult. I'm like, there's no way I'm just going to die. They're all just going to start spinning. Yeah. Oh, jeez. And yeah, they're just throwing out boulders like crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh. But... Oh jeez, they're just all fireballs. Okay, let's quickly pause the game and see if they are working. Yeah, that one worked. Okay, so I'm just gonna straight up delete all those guys because there is no way that I'm killing them. Cool. Okay, let's maybe not spawn 10 enemies. Let's just do a couple. Let's do 3. Spawn some voids. Okay, they're definitely working with the mesh renderer. You can tell. I'm overall liking how it's looking. I think it's a bit too. It's just a bit too bright. There's too many flames. See, I don't know if I'd turn down like the intensity of the flame or the amount. Oh yeah, it's at 200. Yeah, it's way too much. The rate. Interesting. Okay, so it's just spawning way too many flames. That's all. Gotcha. That's why it's so bright. Oh. Yeah, the game. Oh, I'm about to die. Yeah, I just died trying to read chat. The game is downloadable. Yeah, you can like Lens Island is up on early access on Steam, so you can actually play Lens Island right now. What I'm working on now is an update that's coming in around a month's time. So you don't have access to this stuff, but like Lens Island is a massive game with a lot of playtime and a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, you can play it. Cool. I think it's just the Voidlings, Max. Everything else seems to get the mesh renderer. All right. So let's have a look at our ignite effect here. I'll show you how this sort of stuff works. So we have like particle. Basically like 2 particle loops. There's like, you know, one that it gets applied for stuff with like a mesh, and there's one that gets applied for stuff with like a skinned mesh renderer. And then we have a system that sort of like multiplies it based on stuff. Base, mesh, base skinned. It's interesting how different it looks for the player and for the void. I'm gonna test that again because I always like the voids are getting like multiplied too much. Hello, Eliza. How are you? Alrighty. So let's get my enchanted sword. So if I just light myself on fire for a second. I'll quickly pause. You see, it looks great on the player. Yes, that's 30. So we've got 38. 38 sort of particles spawning in a second. See there, the rate over time. So then, let's quickly heal up a little bit. Now, let's compare that to all the different enemies, right? So we'll get a crab, quickly pause. That almost seems like it's too much, like more than 38. Okay, so it's 24. So that's good. That's pretty good, it's 24. But this void was like 200. Yeah, like you can tell it's like way too bright. Yeah, like 160. It was 230 before, that's interesting. Is it inconsistent? Let's spawn another one and see if it's any different for the second one. That one spawn. Oh yeah, let's actually make that full screen as well. Oh, it is in, oh no. I think it is inconsistent. Interesting, see? Yeah, look. Look at this, he's got a little butt fire. I don't think it got his mesh renderer properly. So that's 170. That one. Yeah, see that one's 24 and it didn't work. And then this one's the big one. Which one's this? 160. So they are roughly the same. Okay, Max, it happens to all enemies, just sometimes it doesn't get the mesh renderer. It happened to voids just then.
Putting the mesh renderer on the other one, like it's putting it on the mesh particle effect rather than the mesh render particle.
Oh,
skin
right.
Mesh particle effect. I'm just gonna find out why.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Why does fire always have to be red? It's sort of interesting. We actually, I actually tested trialed making fire purple, like dark essence fire. But it blended in too much. I didn't like the look of it like red because especially in the dungeons where sort of like the enemies exploding and like all like a lot of the particle effects are purple, and that's like the color of darkness in enemies. Sorry, and it blended in too much. But when it was red, it's like really noticeable and like obvious, and it just looks better. It just looked way better and cooler. Yeah, okay, so we need to turn down the multiplying for the skin mesh. I think the other thing we're gonna have to do is make the multiply variables be separate for the normal meshes and the skin meshes.
Yeah.
Because the enemies are getting multiplied by heaps. Like the player has around like 20 particles emission like per second, but then a void gets like 170 or 200. Like, yeah, like if it scales up like.
That might be a part in what I've done. So I think it's because it's all part of the same thing. That's wrong.
Oh, okay.
So maybe just give me a minute to.
Okay. Right, we'll work on some other effects in the meantime. We found a couple bugs in the burning stuff. I will test the electricity though. I would like to test that a little bit. I think to test it, let's make it nighttime so we can see this electricity a little bit better. There's a lot of glowing stuff. Let's get my fire sword. Actually, I'll put it on the glaive, so that way I can just like have two weapons, one of each. Electric. Oh, whoops. Enchant that. Cool, we have electric glaive. Let's just get some voidlings. Yeah. I can't remember if I added lights to the. Actually, I think what I'll quickly do is I'll make the electric effect 100%. 100% proc chance, just be better for testing. Whoops. You get a bit of distance between them, so. Actually, what I'll quickly do, I'm gonna unmute the game, mute my, so I can just hear it. I need to get some more distance, like they just keep grouping up in a little pack. Ah. Right. I just got destroyed. I think because there's going to be 2 tiers of electricity. So I want to see what it could look like at like a second tier. Just want to work on the effect a little bit. Actually, let's just stop that for a second. And on our electrify, I just want to customize this lightning bolt. Where there's like a lightning bolt system that we have that generates lightning between 2 points. So I just want to make it look a little bit. I've already worked on this a little bit, but I want to work on it a bit more. I can also just mute that now. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna quickly build a foundation, just so my camera can zoom in a little bit, so I can see it a little bit better. Beautiful. I could probably move. Whoa. Probably move me back over here now, so it doesn't cover up so much. Not sure if it's too much. Like I added in some forks, like this one here, that are a little bit chaotic. I'm not sure if I want it to be like less or more chaotic. Also, don't know if this is too many forks. Like the main central forks is like a bit too much. Like if there should just be like a couple, like maybe like two, and then it's like one or two little like ones that pop out. It feels like maybe it's a bit too many. It's like, okay, let's say we just turn this down to 2. If we turn down to... Yeah, I have to keep the generations high. So if I turn up the chaos factor, that's what's gonna make it go crazy. And then the forks are like the random forks that spread off like that. I also want to just quickly test the lighting, because the lighting should... why is the lighting not working? These ones. Interesting. Oh, right. The maximum lights was set to nothing. So like, for example, we could turn down the light intensity. It's sort of hard. Like it'd be really nice to have like lighting on lighting on the lightning. But I think it's going to be like too performance intensive. Like turning down the range would help, but then like turning up the range looks way better. It just looks so good. Like how like the lighting's like flickering on that and everything. Like it just looks so sexy. But I think it's gonna be too intensive performance. I wish. Like that's what lightning should look like. Like if you want to be realistic, that's what it should look like. I'm gonna really quickly see what that does look like if I quickly apply this to the prefab. Let's see, let's just humor myself here. Oh damn it, I got that bug. Are you selectable now? Yep, thank you. Let's see what this looks like. Oh yes, I should put this on a spear so I can like poke enemies from afar. That's a good idea. Electric. Okay, look, so let's check on our gizmos, our stats, so I can just like have a look at the FPS. They're like hanging around. We've got like a bug. Whoops. But they stay around. It looks so good to the lighting. Like, man, the lighting looks so beautiful. What have I done? What have I done to break break it to make it stick around. I've done something. Because these prefabs, they all object. Oh, I didn't save the prefab because these all object pull. I have to like stop playing every time because they're all pulled from the start, so they don't actually, you don't get the updates. I feel like the lifetime shouldn't be 0. Maybe I accidentally made that 0. 0 tells me the lifetime will be infinite. I'm just gonna save that. Let's quickly go to the Void Fish because they have lightning that works. So I can just have a look at their lightning. Oh no, their lifetime set to 0. Oh, what did I do to make it not work? Maybe because it should just get sort of turned off by the parent. Generation's lifetime delay range. So that's the duration range. So like that's going to be the main thing that's going to affect it. Maybe the duration range is really high. Let's have a look. No? Interesting. So I drag a fresh one in here. It's definitely accurate. There's the bolt. So there's the start. There's the end. I think I have to be in play mode. Yeah, I do. What parts of the game provide are random for each new game, towns, NPCs? So the islands are like handmade, but then the entire map is procedurally generated. So it's like the individual islands are handmade, and then they get scattered and randomized, all of their locations all around the map. There's a whole like current system and like coral reef system and everything like out in the oceans, and they're all like fully procedurally generated. And then like a lot of resources and stuff on the islands are like sort of randomly generated. Some of it's like half of it's hand placed, half it's sort of random. There's a whole underworld cave system, and that's based on like little handmade chunks, but then the whole world is like procedurally generated based on these little handmade pieces. All the dungeons are all handmade. They're just like manual like dungeons that you sort of step through. It's like a combo of the two. In my opinion, the stuff that should be random is random, and the stuff that should be handmade is handmade. Am I insane? Or like I can't figure out like I haven't worked with this lightning controller in a little while. I forget where everything is. Where's just like the amount of lightnings? I thought it was this. I thought it was the count range. I literally can't find it. It should be that, the count. Because, like, there'll be the interval, like, updating the... Oh, right. I guess it is... The interval is sort of carrying it. Yeah, that makes sense. No, the generations, that's like the amount of like points generated. So if like I turn that to 1, you can see like one vertex. I haven't used this in a while. It's sort of confusing, this system. Whoa, look at that. Even just that maybe looks a bit better. I think I might turn down that interval range a tiny bit. Oh, the lighting didn't work. I've just realized. Oh, yeah, right, because that was set back to 0. Oh, it just looks so good the second you add a light to it. Yeah, so this interval range. Oh, so it's already at 0. So let's just turn this up a little bit. Let's just make this 0, 3 and 0, 5, and that's just going to thin out the lightning bolts a little bit by around half. And let's quickly just see what this looks like. Ah, I'm so sick of this bug. There's a... I've got to get this thing off my screen. Okay, let's maximize this. There we go. I'll go my trusty spear again. We'll make this electric. Get in some voidlings. It feels like the voidlings are too fast. We'll try the voidlings. It looks so much better with the lights. We're gonna hit like a pixel light count. If I'm spawning too many, the only thing I'm worried about, right, with spawning like an actual point light, even though it has no shadows. The only thing I'm worried about is we're going to reach our pixel light count like all the time. So it's like for any like mesh, for example, let's say this gigantic cube, maybe just do this one. There's like a maximum lights that can influence it. So not in build settings, in project settings quality, I'm pretty sure. Here we go. For example, pixel light count on medium is 5. Ours is relatively high compared to most games. On low it's 4. So like let's say assume it's 5. That basically means like for any mesh in the game there's only 5 lights that can influence it before they just start getting drawn out. So like if this is one mesh and like let's say if there's a light here and a light here, then like that's 4 lights, and then there's one more light, boom. And then it's like it can't be influenced by any more lights. And then if you think about like in a scene, if Len is chilling, Len might have a torch, so that's instantly 1 light from the torch, and then it'll be a directional light. So that's 2 lights. So it's like almost an absolute bare minimum of having 2 lights. And then all it takes is like a couple more lights. Like even like, let's say this is an area where like, let's say you're down in the caves and there's like a water pool here and there's water. Usually whenever I have water pools, I'll put a point light above the water that's blue to sort of simulate like bounce sliding from the water. So then we've got 3 lights already. And it's like, already we've got 3 lights, and then all it takes is then like, cool, we you know, there's like, let's say a couple of voidlings. This is the worst drawing of my life, but there's a couple of voidlings here that I like hit with my electricity, and it does electricity between them, and then instantly we're at like 8 lights or something. So that's like half of those lights aren't actually drawing on any of that, and so they've got to sort of make it flicker. They'll all be set to like not important, the lights. So I mean, yeah, I won't get too detailed with it, but that's the only thing I'm like really worried about. Is just like smashing up against that pixel light count all the time, by having too many lights. A good way to actually test this would be adding some lights. So let's just add a point light. Right, so let's, where'd our point light go? Shit, there. So let's just give you a big radius of 15. Let's make another one. You could be orange. So this one mesh now has 4 point lights drawing on it. And then let's get a torch. Let's get a backpack lamp. It'll be a little bit easier. So you can see that big flicker that just happened? That's because of pixel light count. It's reaching the maximum. So you can help that a little bit with like setting importance levels to lights. But then if I then go see like what happens now when I go to, I don't know if you sort of noticed it, but when it spawned some of the lights from the lightning, it just like flickered like crazy because they're all fighting, like all the lights are fighting each other for like the pixel light count and the importance levels. And that's what you get. So you have to have like this perfect coordination with all the lights, and all their importance levels have to be like perfectly set. Otherwise, you get stuff like that. I think for those reasons, we can't do the lighting on the, I don't know. I could set it to not important. Let's see if I can make it work, because we got it for we do have it working for void fish, like the lightning fish. They have lights on their lightning. Can I paste in it? Yeah, cool. So like all of these would be set to important because they would be, well, no, that couldn't be important. I guess they would have to be important. And then on the electrify, that would have to be purposely not important. This is Lens Island I'm working on. Lens Island is actually available out on Steam, in early access, but I'm working on a new update currently. Really? You can't set the importance level on this? I'll have to make a modification. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna have to make it set to not important. Otherwise it's gonna keep doing stuff. So where's our light settings? If I quickly go to a point light and go to the render mode, I wonder how I access the render mode. Oh, cool, that's easy. Oh, I think it was a Unity render mode, wasn't it? Maybe I got the wrong one. All light render mode. No. There's so many different render modes. Which one is it? It's none of them. Because when I had it before, this is not that one. So I'm not a graphics programmer, so I don't know what the difference between those. Like I sort of know the difference between those, but I don't know it properly. I'm trying to remember how to get access to. Alright, time to open Google. Unity Light render mode. Oh, I got an idea. Just why is it not picking that up? Hello? Is this something that exists? Okay, we're just gonna do this in a random script somewhere. Public, light, light. So, render mode. Also, that is it. Cool. So the light render mode. Yeah, see here. Force vertexes. So auto is 0, force pixel is 1, vertex is 2. So then 1, like important, it just gets renamed. Like, why would they even like rename it? Why don't they just like use the correct names? So then 1 force pixel is important, and then not important would be force vertex. Okay, I'm glad we've worked that out. Let's get rid of all this stuff that shouldn't be there. So then in here, inside the light parameters, let's add in this lighting mode. Public, render mode equals render mode dot. What was it? I've already forgotten which one it was. Light render mode. And so we want to be not important, so it doesn't influence stuff, which is this. Light render mode. Cool. I wish I had a tooltip for this as well. Edit the importance of the light rendering. So then where all of these actually get used, then we just need to make sure that create lights, here we go. Oh, here we go. Add light to group. So I guess we could just do it in here, right? So we go light dot render mode equals, and then where are we getting our light? Where's our reference to our... This is the weirdest code ever. It's not my code. I'm trying to work out how... Where's the reference to all of the lighting parameters? lp.render mode. Okay. I think that might work. I don't know. Maybe it won't. Oh, cool. Max, I believe he's fixed the particle issue, so we'll once I see if this works or not, I'll pull his file changes, and then we can work a little bit more on the fire as well. I'm probably going a little bit too deep onto this lightning, but I'm sort of in like the mindset at the moment with the enchantments where I'd really prefer to do like quality over quantity. I'd rather make fewer enchantments that are really cool and really impactful and look really cool, rather than just like a whole bunch of enchantments that just for the sake of it, and they look like crap. Cool. So prefab select asset. So then on our bolt script, we should have a render mode now. Beautiful. So that is set to not important currently, which now will be like forced to not important on everything. So what should happen now is when I do exactly what I did before, it shouldn't flicker like crazy. Like it shouldn't take over the point lights because it's specifically set to not important. So if I get my spear, set it to 10, spawn in some voidlings. Yeah, see? No light flickering. So it's not setting it's not reaching the pixel light count anymore and then taking over the lights that are already there. I like it when stuff actually works. But if we get lucky and we have a scene where there's less lights, so if we just delete them and then spawn these back in, it will use the lights. I said it will use the lights. Are they working at all? Maybe we didn't. Maybe we didn't. Is this set to... Yeah, so it should be spawning lights. Okay, so let's try get one to spawn. There's no lightning. I gotta get some lightning to spawn, and then I gotta quickly pause the game. Okay, I got my... There you go, bam. Did it even spawn in a light? Like, I can't see a light. I don't get spawning in the lights anymore. Did we get any errors? We got one weird error, but I don't think that's got anything to do with what we did. Let's set this to auto and see if that changes anything. Oh yeah, I saw a light. I saw a light for a second. Maybe even auto will help. Maybe you'll set to important by default. See how it's not flickering anymore? I got a feeling maybe it was set to important. If I turn these off. Let's spawn these back in again. Yeah, see, like, if there's no lights, we get it. But then, if we have any lights that are set to important, it won't take over. Let's also chuck on a backpack lamp. Just make sure it still looks good with that. Ow. Why is the electricity not spawning in? What the? Is the proc chance not at 1? I thought I put it to 1. Interesting. It appears to just like not be spawning in anymore. Am I going crazy? Yeah, no, it's just not working. It's just decided to. Those errors don't matter. Let's try disenchant and then enchant it again. Oh, that's such a good ability. Yeah, okay, interesting. I think I just found like a weird little bug with the enchantment system. But yeah, it seems to be looking still pretty good. I think maybe the lightning should stick around for like a second later. Like I think it all just happens a bit too quick and you don't really notice it. Cool, so I think auto helped. So let's just quickly tweak this a little bit more. Electrify. Oh, so that'll probably be this controlling it. Duration. So let's say if I just make that a second. Keep it on auto. Cool. I forgot what the lightning sounds like. Let me, I'll use the in-game audio. Oh, I set some terrible lightning sounds last time, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off the point lights first, because we now know that system works. It's sort of hard because like the base electric effect, I want it to be not crazy OP, but then I feel like with the current chains, it's just like you don't notice it as much. So it's like a chains to 2 enemies, guaranteed every time, and there's a 50% chance it'll do 3. I just change it to a 3 or 4. So then now there's basically a 25% chance that you'll get it to chain to a 4th enemy. But I'm just not. We'll see what it looks like. One thing I could also do is just up the range a tiny bit. So it arcs to some other enemies that are a little bit further away. But I really should just make two versions of it, like properly. I just don't want the number 1 version to be sort of like not noticeable, that's all. But there will be like a level 2 one that will be better. It definitely looks better with the. It definitely looks better with the point lights and sticking around a little bit longer. It's a little bit more noticeable in a good way. Oh, interesting. I got a weird hitbox there, I think. I think a range does have to be a little bit longer. Ah! Oh my god. I accidentally edited it. I accidentally went to edit mode. I think range has to be a tiny bit longer. Electrify. So let's put up to 6. Cool. So then like now I'm gonna make 2. So I got electrify 1, and then we've got electrify 2. So then let's start testing out the level 2 electrify, right? So let's make it so the short chain is still 2, but then let's say sometimes we go 3, 4 to 6, and then we up the range to 9. Am I changing the right one? Yeah, electrify 2, yeah, cool. So let's see, and then I'll have to just drag in electrify 2. So then now let's see what this is like. So this is going to be like the upgraded version of electrify, just sort of like Minecraft or something, right? Where there's different tiers of enchantments. Electrify 1 will be like the bottom, like the base tier 1, and electrify 2 will be one that's like more expensive that you can get later. It'll do the same amount of damage. It will just propagate to a lot more enemies over a larger range. So I just want to see how like sort of noticeable that is and how impactful it is. Oh, maybe the range is a bit too big. Man, that's cool though. Oh, that's so cool. The other thing we can do is like the proc chance itself, right? Will change. So I think I've got it on 100%. But then I think electrify 1 will be on like 50%, and then 2 will be on like 100% or something like that. Sort of weird. Sometimes it felt like it was like a really long chain that was like potentially a little bit too long. I don't know if it was like bugging out or something though. Let's try that again. Does the lightning chain only once per hit, or if you cleave like 3 enemies in one swing? Yeah. So it will be per enemy that it hits and not per hit. So per enemy's hit and not per swing. So yeah, if you do hit 3 enemies, each enemy will produce a lightning chain that could hit each other. So like lightning is something that is like exponentially gets better and better with the more amount of enemies that you're sort of fighting, right? So let's say, for example, I'll spawn in like a huge amount of voidlings. Whoop, and I instantly died. Let's do that again. Maybe I'll put on God mode. I don't know why I wasn't on God mode the whole time. I don't really need to get damaged for any reason. Yeah, like and that's sort of how like all of the status effects work for the most case, is like a lot of them sort of scale up the more amount of stuff that you're sort of fighting. I'm about to run out of charge. Whoops. Ah. Dev mode. Oh, that bit unenchanted. Okay. Let's try that again. So now we're in God mode. So you'd see there. Just see, sometimes it doesn't. fire off. All the abilities. It's not working for the abilities, I believe. Oh, it worked for that. It worked for this ability, for the swipe. It's just not working for the R ability. Or maybe it is. Let's try that again. Ah! I just speared off the edge of the map. Yeah, you gotta be careful of the spear's ability. It can really send you flying. I don't think it's working for the... I don't think it is working for the R. It's definitely a cool ability. I feel like we've officially hit the level now that the ability is like quite enjoyable to use and it looks really cool. Just gotta figure out why it doesn't work for the ultimate, that's all. Alright. And let's quickly test out the... Oh no, the fire stuff not fixed yet. Okay, so I gotta pull some changes from the source tree now. I'm liking where electricity is looking. It's pretty fun to use. It's feeling pretty good. So we're going to... I'll update all the game files now. Push up all my changes. Tweaking, lightning, and stuff. Close that, save. Open up Unity. That's what it's on the screen. Have his ability to hit the ground, be able to set. Yeah, it will. It should be like this spears. We'll test it. Actually, we'll test it. Now, I will let Max know that I think there's a bug. So just pulling all these changes. Oh no, pushing actually. Okay, I can open up Unity then. Oops. Oh shit. I think I accidentally misclicked and I think I might have kicked someone from Discord accidentally. I'm so sorry. Whoops, let's make sure that didn't happen. Okay, I think the misclick didn't go through. Good. Martin. I just heard a Discord message of a bug that we should get sorted sort of ASAP for the testers. Alright, we should have updated. Let's test this fire now. Might as well chuck some music back on. Oh, that's right, we're going to test the hammer, right? Glowing fire hammer. I definitely need to tweak the effects. It's a bit intense. Yeah, so it definitely does. Anything hit by the AoE gets set on fire. Jeez, that's bright. I'm gonna have to tweak that. How's it look during the day though? Should I try the titanium hammer? Because I think the titanium hammer has slightly bigger AoE hitboxes from memory. I forget. Maybe it does. I'm from Australia, Brisbane, Australia. That's where I'm sitting right now. What's the package that has your hierarchy looking cool? Oh, right. Well, some of them, it might be like advanced hierarchy or something like that. Enhanced hierarchy. I only use some of it, some of the stuff from here. Some of it's a bit laggy, to be completely honest. It's not like the fastest tool ever, but it has some pretty cool functionality. Alright, let's see how many enemies we can mess up with our hammer. Oh, see, I think this hammer just like one-shots all the enemies with the ability, so it doesn't even matter, like, setting them on fire, because they're just dead before they get the chance to light on fire. I'd have to hit them, like, normally with the hammer. There's definitely, I think the mesh renders are working now, but it's definitely adding in heaps of fire, like it's multiplying the fire particles by a whole lot. So I'm gonna have to turn that down. Actually, before I change anything, let's just make sure it still looks good for the player. Because like the Len is like our main baseline for the fire looking good. I made the fire look good for Len, and now we just need to make it also look good for enemies. Okay. I have a little fire spear. I think I might have to expand this UI a little bit. I think it's a bit too small for when you're not standing on a building and it's like not zoomed in. And the spear looks so cool when it's got the fire enchantment, just because it's like so big. Can you light me on fire, please? See, like, it looks pretty good on, it's maybe a little too bright on land, but like it looks pretty good on land. It's just the enemies. So let's get a void, right? Quickly pause that. Okay, so it's a 40 40 fires getting emitted over time. Now let's quickly see how many get emitted for a void. $150, so it's still pretty high. It's still pretty much the same as what it was before. I guess it makes sense, because if you think about, it just seems like it's right now, like, I don't know, like because like the calculation, right, it's like draw a box around the mesh. So if you draw a box around lens mesh, it's like that. You draw a box around the void mesh, and it's like that. So like len is 40, and this was like 150. And like, I guess, yeah, it's like a bit over 3 times the size. I guess that makes sense. It just needs to not multiply that much. So if we go to the ignite, yeah, here we go. So we got the rate over time mesh increase per site, per area. So right now that's a scale by 1, so it's going to like multiply it sort of evenly. So like, let's say I do 0.2. So that should not multiply so much. I think I have to stop playing and play again. I think that's going to not multiply so much now for the other enemies. The only issue is, I think that's going to make all the trees look worse. So we might have to split it up into like mesh renderers and skin mesh renderers, having their own like multiply settings for like visual effects. So let's just double check that lens still has the same. Oh yes, it already looks way less. Right. Yeah, yeah. Right, so okay, so it's not doing it. Let's just see what it looks like for a void. How much is... Because like what the void has now is what we want it to look like, but the other stuff sort of looks the same without changing everything else. Yeah, so 40, way less. Okay. I think we're gonna have to add some more functionality into this because I can't really get it to look the way that I need it to look at the moment. But I think it looks good enough. I'm gonna... What other effects do I currently have? Holographic. So we do have some other, like there's a bunch more enchantments that I haven't shown you all. I'll quickly show you one that I'm sort of want to have a look at. So this is Doom. Doom, I'll just show you what that is. Doom is basically like stacks of like damage you can build up. So I think currently Doom is basically like a lightning bolt that's sort of like above the enemy's head, and then like every couple seconds there's like a tick, and if you hit the enemy within that tick rate, then it builds up another stack. And then the second you sort of it reaches that timer and you haven't hit the enemy again, like resetting it, then it will like fire off a lightning bolt and sort of like execute the enemy with like, you know, the more damage, the more stacks of Doom. Oh, I don't want to charge you. I want to enchant you. Doom. There we go. But like the effect, from memory, like the particle effect and everything, and like the balancing was all pretty work in progress. So I just want to, I sort of forget what it is. I just want to see what it's like. I might even make it a bit more afternoon in the game so I can see the effect a little bit better. I'll just make it nighttime. Oh, there might be a proc chance for Doom as well. I'll also just put on God mode so I don't die. I don't know. Proc chance is 100. I don't know if the Doom works. Maybe it's broken. Nothing's spawning. Okay, Doom definitely doesn't work. Just lifesteal. I don't think does Illuminate? Is Illuminate still working? Oh, I can't modify it at runtime. The database, that's alright. I am just really focusing on that electric one and the fire one right now. Because we made some like a whole bunch of changes to this whole enchanting system recently. Oh, there's an alarm. So I'm just trying to make sure, try to see what is still working and what isn't still working from that, basically. Where's my Illuminate? There we go. We definitely had Illuminate working at one point. Who knows if it is still working? Oh yeah, it's working. It's hard to tell, but there's a light. That's what Illuminate is, by the way. You can basically craft a light, you like socket a light into your weapons. It won't look like this. It'll look brighter and like cooler. But yeah, it's like you could get like a pickaxe and then enchant it with Illuminate and then make your pickaxe actually sort of like glow with like a light stone in it. Cool, so that's still working. So I'll leave that in the database. So I'll check which ones are working. Doom is not working. Abundance. I'll try Detonate. Let's see if Detonate's working. Detonate is enemies explode. Enemies explode when they die, and that explosion can hurt other enemies. So this is like another good example of an effect that like really multiplies when you have like large amounts of enemies, because they can all just basically explode and kill each other with their explosions. Detonate. And Detonate. Alright. Let's try this detonate, see if it works. Yeah, there you go. It has a terrible particle effect right now. But see how like me just killing the explosion damage from one enemy is sometimes enough to kill like another enemy. I'm trying to just clip one. There you go. It even does a little bit of knockback too. Let's get a whole bunch of enemies spawning and see how far we can take this effect. This is something that definitely needs a bit of balancing, this effect, because this could be like way too good, potentially. Detonate. These effects, like the burning, the electricity, and the detonate, are all like very high tier effects. Yeah, see? Killed one, and it just killed literally all of them. So I think the detonate definitely does too much damage. Jeez, look at all those voidlings. I'm assuming I'll be able to kill every single one of these, right? With one hit. Oh, I just need one to die. That's it. I just need just one. There we go. Almost all of them. Okay. So let's balance this a little bit. How much damage is it doing? The particle effect looks absolutely terrible for it too. So I should change that. Yes, it's doing 30 damage. Let's put that down to 10, shall we? Because don't forget, like if there's like one enemy detonating, it's gonna do more than 10 damage, because like one blows up and it does 10 damage to this one. But then like this one also blows up and then it does a thing of 10 damage. So then if there's a third enemy standing next to those two, that third enemy just got 20 damage because it got both of the explosions from those two enemies. I think maybe the knockback was a little bit too high on it too, so I just turned that down a little bit. This explosion effect looks completely whack. I did not make this. Just gonna put that out there. Maybe I just steal the hammer explosion for a little bit, just so it looks a little bit better for now. I do have some explosions particles that actually look pretty decent. Yeah, let's quickly just set up a bit better explosion. So like this is, I feel like detonate could be. So this is something I'm sort of like thinking about. I'm in two minds of. I'll quickly show you. Where's the runes page? No. Yeah, there you go. Where's all the like I've got? Are they not called runes? That's weird. Enchant. Oh yeah. So like here you go. Here's like the sort of like the enchantment stones. So it's like what I was saying about at the start of the stream is how like we want it to be sort of elements. So these ones will all be fire based. These ones will be electric. These ones are utility. So these just like change the stats of the weapon. And what I'm thinking, I don't want to get too like Avatar Airbender here, but these could be like earth based. Maybe. So then it's like, if we were to do that, maybe something like this detonate could be more like a big, like beefy, like rock explosion, you know, like that could be an earth-based one, but it could also just totally be like an electricity explosion or a fire explosion. Like detonate, I feel like could work as any of those elements. Yeah, that's terrible. Okay. Where's the explosions I'm looking for? These ones. See, these are a little bit nicer. It's too big. It's gigantic. Bam. That's a detonator. It's like bloody dynamite going off. I think it's a bit too intense. So that's sort of like what the hammer. That's like sort of like what the hammer smash looks like, but it's a bit different to that one. Yeah, so for, let's use this one for now. But let's get rid of those. That looks fine. It's those big lines are just way too much. Sharp. I'm assuming it's that. Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, that's a little bit nicer. Okay, temporary explosion. That we use instead of this whack one, we'll use this one. And I'm assuming all this should just be set to play on awake. Yep, cool. Old saves, how old saves work with a new update. So old saves will work with a new update. We won't force you to wipe a save file or anything. But because the whole town is changing in the new update, then basically all of your town progress is the one thing that won't save or anything, because like the whole town is just completely different. There's no town levels, or you won't be able to build houses for people in the next update yet. So like you'll keep all your own buildings, you'll keep all your own inventory, all your unlocks, all that sort of stuff will all carry through. It's literally just the town is the only thing that won't. But like this update is going to be really similar to sort of Uncharted Waters in a way that like we've rebalanced the whole game, we've rebuilt the whole progression of the game, and we're adding in like a lot of like pivotal features. So you're not forced to restart, but honestly, I think I would suggest for most people just to like start a fresh save file, because it'll be like really fun to play through the game again, because it'll feel like a whole new experience. Yeah, the explosion still looks like shit, to be completely honest. But we will tweak it. It's sort of interesting because like the explosion, when you're fighting singular enemies, the death explosion sucks. Like it doesn't do anything. But then when you're fighting a gigantic horde and they're all close to each other, it will just clear out the whole pack of enemies for you. I tell you what, 10 damage, reducing it to 10 damage made a big difference. Like it's not even, I feel like it's not even that good now. Maybe I'll up it a little bit more. I feel like I could even make the, I could even just pick a more prominent explosion. Or one that has sort of like a, sure, let's just go with that one for now. I'll just do it tiny increments. We'll up the damage to 15 and then see what that's like. The new update's not out yet. We're currently working on it. It'll be out in around a month. Starting to get into feel, yeah. Oh yeah, I agree, Slider. As you know, I guess, like, take it from me, I have played through Lens Island literally 1,000 times, and I really enjoyed playing through the game again, and am enjoying playing through the game again in this new update. So I think other people that have played through the game just a handful of times will still really enjoy playing through it again, because it just feels like a new game. Pretty much every time we do a major update, it is just like a whole brand new game. For me, it's like really exciting, like a really positive thing, because like there aren't just incremental updates where you just like go back into the game and be like, oh cool, there's like this thing there, and then you play through it for an hour and then you get bored. It's like you can just play through the whole game again because there's so much different and new things added. For me, that's like really, you know, cool. Whoa, that was it. Okay, I think we went a little bit too big on the particles, potentially. They I just got like a TNT stick strapped to the end of my sphere. Whoa, that's insane. Alright, let's dial it back just a little bit. It is pretty exciting seeing it so like just so crazy. Oh man. Yeah, that is insane. Let's quickly have a look at how this is going to spawn in. So let's grab a voidling. And then if we just child it to it and set it to 0. Oh, okay, so we'll spawn. The enemy's pivot is right on the floor. Perfect. So I think what we do then is we just make sure the explosion is just a tiny bit above the floor, so we make sure there's no normal clipping. And then now I'm just going to go through these one at a time and just sort of dial them back a little bit. Yeah, so that's just straight up just too big. Just add a bit of transparency to these so they're a little bit dialed back. The radius a little bit. That one I'll keep the same. I'm gonna turn that one off because I don't want. I feel like this could be this particle effect's becoming a little bit too intensive. That's insane. We can get rid of that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. Sparks are dope. We'll keep the sparks. But we will lower the start speed, I think, a little bit. Oh, what's the shape? Yeah, I could just reduce this cone down a bit. Just so it doesn't... I don't think we need a... Yeah, what's this smoke looking like? I'm gonna just get rid of that. Circle spread, I don't even see. We obviously want the floor splash, but that's too big. That's a bit more like it. Yeah, that one's good too. It's just like, yeah, way too big. Cool. And then we've got the cracks. Too big. That one can go away. Okay, let's just turn off the fire trail altogether. Cool. Let's see. See it all together. It's still pretty intense. Slightly less intense. Let's just quickly see what that looks like. Oh, yeah, game development is mind-blowing. It's a lot of fun. It'll be cool. I just got a cool idea. Before I test it, I'm gonna get a couple other things that are gonna really add to the juice of this explosion. Why is that turned off? Cool. I'm trying to think about. I'm gonna add some screen shake and a sound. Because it's going to be pretty dope if we also have them going. Where is the impulse? Cool. Impulse source. And then let's go on to this detonate. Okay, so we're going to generate an impulse. And then I'm just going to play a sound clip. Boom. Play it in 3D. Do we have any... Ugh, I don't know if we have really any explosion sounds currently. Let me really quick have a look. I might even have to quickly set one up, just like a temporary explosion sound. Oh, I was like wondering why I can't hear anything. It's because I got this muted. I don't know about that. That is an explosion, but it's for a electric explosion. That could be part of it. We could do lava hurt, because I can layer a few sounds together and maybe make something here. So let's go lava hurt, wherever that was. That can be the first layer. We need a thud. We need like a thud. So maybe like a bass impact hammer. What's a bass impact? Yeah, so we do bass impact and then also the impact hammer as well. As like 2 more layers, and then I think that's gonna make something pretty nice. So we've got bass impact, and then we've got impact hammer. I think the 3 of them all laid over top of each other will be something-ish, like an explosion. And we should get a little bit of camera shake every time an explosion goes off. Let's see if that's actually going to work. Let's see what it looks and sounds like. Oh, congratulations on your graduation. That's awesome. Yeah, it all started for me learning game design in university. Well, I sort of started a little bit earlier that with like graphic design and stuff. But game design did properly start then. I think I'll just put it on a spear. Detonate. Okay. Let's make some enemies blow up. I can't tell. I don't think any of those visibility effects are firing off. The explosions are still a bit too full on. They look really cool though. Yeah, there's no way they're firing off. Let me quickly have a look. It's weird, like, why that visibility event... Oh, maybe because it doesn't have a mesh renderer. Oh, I'm not playing that sound clip either. I just literally didn't even call it. I'll do it on the hitboxer. I think that's going to be on... Oh, I thought we had events. I thought we had public events for the on-hit stuff. Really? We don't have events for that. I swear we did. Okay. Let's do an awake event because that'll... Yeah. So we'll do that and then we'll drag this. Whoops. So we want to generate an impulse, and then we also want to play sound clip with the name Boom. This should fire off. While I'm at it, I'll really quickly just... Why can't I see anything? That's weird. I'll really quickly just dial back this explosion just to... What is going on? Why does my screen go black? What? That's weird. Is that just like a weird Unity bug? Oh, like lighting... Look, it just like breaks when lighting's enabled. Sure. Yeah, this is too big. So that's more like the start speed, to be honest. Then maybe we just dial back that a little bit. And then the shape, we make that a bit tighter. This as well, make the shape a bit tighter. Dial back the start speed a little bit. Lower the size a little bit. Okay, I think those will make it a decent. Just dialing it back just a little bit. All right, let's see what this looks like. Okay. Let's get our spear. Oh, I want foilings. There we go. There's some sound. The sounds... Look, it sounds pretty good for me, just like making it out of 3 different sounds. Could be better. I'm not really feeling the impulse though. I don't know if that's quite working. It should be. Maybe it's just the force. Generate impulse with force. Let's say we just do like 5. Let me see what I'm generating it for, like keystones. Two. Okay. 5's going to be a bit too much then. Let's do 2. I might just quickly test that. Yeah, I just think it needs a bit more bass. I just think the explosion sound needs a bit more like, doof, like just a bit more like meat to it. It has sort of like the higher frequencies. All right. I probably have something I could just like use as a base somewhere. Actually, let me really quickly have a look. What's basey here that I can steal? Well. Maybe not the lava. I mean, not the lightning strike. Lightning strike sounds sick, but... I'll just leave it for now, because we'll make a proper sound. Like, Lars will just, like, make proper sounds for all this stuff, so it really doesn't matter. I feel like I don't notice any screen shake. What if I just make it really high? Just to make sure it is or isn't working. Let's make it 50. I'm assuming this is just going to make the entire screen go nuts. I can actually just test this without having to actually hit enemies. Let's quickly do that first. Drag in this. And then turn off this stuff. Turn it back on. Oh yeah, it's working. So we do like 3. Maybe 4. We'll do 3. Yeah, right. So, okay. Just because it'll be funny, let's actually see what it's going to look like, because I set it to 50. So it's like, it should actually work. It should be working. Which means my screen should go completely insane when I destroy one of these. Alright, I think that's a bit too big. Alright. That I literally jumped. Like that shook my screen so much I jumped. Good night, Slider. Take care. We'll go to 3. Cool. And now let's test this. Just make sure it looks good. Get our spear. 10. Let's see how big of an explosion we can get. Let's just get heaps of voidlings spawned in. Yeah, see, I think it's like a bug where sometimes it doesn't work. I'm gonna disenchant and enchant it again. Oh. That's pretty fun. Oh, man, that's so much fun. Look, I'd say it's a pretty good set. Oh, go on left over. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't trigger. See, they didn't explode. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty big success. I'm liking how it's going. I think I got some stuff to tweak on the fire. I think we have to make that controller a bit more specific to look good across everything. But I think the fire's looking pretty good. I'll quickly, like, I think the fire looks good on the trees and stuff. Actually, I'll just put it. It's just the enemies we need to make it look better for. I'll go disenchant it first. But overall, like, the fire on the player and trees, I'm liking. The electricity, I think, looks pretty sweet now. And we got that lighting thing sorted as well. So now we have some cool lighting that actually is, you know, not too bad for performance. And that explosion looks pretty good too. Oh, actually, no, the fire looks bad now because I tweaked some settings and now it looks bad. Okay, yeah, we've got some stuff to... Oh yeah, the fire, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, it looks really, really weird. That's okay. I think the fire on the player looks good. It looks... Okay, I didn't realize I left those settings down. I'm going to quickly put that up before I forget. Yeah, right. Cool. Let me just make sure that that's going to make it look good again. There we go, cool. That's like the normal size it's supposed to be. Gotta get a sound sorted for the fire as well. But yeah. Fire's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Even on the large trees, I'm sort of surprised how good it looks on the larger trees. I thought it would look worse. One thing I want to actually really quickly test out is okay, let's just get one of those down. I'm gonna need a watering can real quick. I want to see if I can burn down like a whole farm, like if a whole farm will all like catch, you know, on fire. Do I have any water? I need some water. Is there water anywhere in this scene? Maybe it's not. Okay. What's it called? I just want to see what happens if an entire crop can catch on fire. Oh, it can. They're all on fire right now. I didn't even realize. Day length. Oh my god, why can't I type? I just don't think I don't think we got a particle effect working properly, that's all. Yeah, I would like to make the trees look burnt. That'll be stage 2. Yeah, okay, so we don't have the fire effect set up. But the fire does actually like light your crops on fire and burn them. You can see. It's not quite big enough. What I wanted to test is like it's not big enough to actually go across the crops. So we'll have to make that work, because what we'd want is so like an entire farm could catch on fire, but it's not quite big enough at the moment. Actually, if those can catch on fire, can the crops... Are the crops going to work with lightning? I don't think so. I don't think they do. No, they don't. Yeah, cool. I don't know why I'm watering my crops. I've got to fix that. Take a screenshot of that. Beautiful. All right, I think I'm gonna call it there. I've got some more work to do today, but we got to a pretty good start today. We got some stuff sorted with our effects. Some of our status effects are looking pretty juicy. Also, I should say enchantments. Status effects is what we sort of say here at the studio internally. But the enchantments are looking pretty cool. There will be more enchantments in the update other than what you're just seeing here. There will be more. These are just a couple of the weapon enchantments. There's also like a lot of like the really high tier enchantments that are like pretty chaotic and pretty full on. There's like a lot of like lower tier enchantments that are sort of like in and working and stuff. That like maybe not as flashy. You know, stuff like that illuminate one I showed before. Even stuff like swiftness and holographic and stuff like that. They're all in and working. There'll be a few more like that as well. Where it's like, you know, I can make it so every time I swing my hammer, it becomes giant. Big giant blue hammer comes out, which looks really cool. Obviously, that this ability is really OP with a spear, because the spear is like gigantic. But yeah, I think I'll call it there. Thank you so much for coming in, everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. And yeah, I'll have some more updates for you. We'll do a dev diary this week, and in the dev diary this weekend, I'll actually go a bit more over the enchantments. There'll be a bunch of clips from the streams, and I'll be sort of showing sort of like where we end up. So if you actually want to see what this all sort of looks like, where I ended up with all the effects and everything, you'll actually be able to see it in that dev diary. If you want access to pretty much all the stuff I'm playing with right now, you can become a Patreon supporter, and the alpha access and beta access people have access there. The beta access people, we're doing if any beta access people are watching, we're releasing the beta patch in like a day, so you're gonna have it very soon. Alpha access, you guys already have it, and I'll be doing an updated patch for alpha this afternoon. All right, thank you everybody. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.